Ang suot nila ay mga bangka. Gumawa sila ng mga facsimile ng bangka at suot-suot nila habang lumusob sila sa Chinese embassy. These are 700-800 students with about 50 fishermen. 50 fishermen from Bajo de Masinloc para magsalita. No? Tapos may mga ilang riders, about 100 of them, moving around the embassy. Tapos the day after, yesterday, may 800 riders ng atin ito na pumunta sa Bajo de Masinloc carrying Philippine flags at itinanim nila doon sa beach sa Bajo de Masinloc para matanaw lang nila yung ating West Philippine Sea. Something symbolic. Ganda nga ng pictures nila napalubog yung araw nung dumating sila ron. No? Tapos bumalik sila. 700-800 riders na member ng atin ito. The day before, 700-800 students going to the Chinese embassy. So mas mahalaga ito kahit mas maliit, kahit hindi masyadong magastos. Mas maganda ito dahil may meaning eh. Di ba may kahulugan eh. No? May kahulugan. More than the hymn. More than the panata ng makabayan. Ilang gusto kong sabihin na meron namang mga significant celebration ng Independence Day. And I'm sure they're planning for the anniversary of UNCLOS next month. A much bigger, a much more dramatic activity.
Yeah, I think this would be the biggest ever. Of course, on my part, I'm hoping to contribute also to that, but hopefully from the Hague itself, no, because there are going to be a number of events also at the Hague because doon naman galing arbitration award. So looking forward also dun sa mga kameta natin just in case if we have chance to also drop by dun sa Europe. Sir Ronald, bago tayo mag-transition sa Kibuloy, Duterte, and all of that, and yung latest sa Uniteam, whatever is left of it, if ever, gusto ko lang balikan ito kasi isa sa mga tanong na nakuha ko dito. I mean, New Zealand is a progressive country, right? So the kind of questions you get here is similar to the kind of questions you'll get in the Swedens and Nordic countries of this world, not to mention Germany, which is, okay, Philippines is growing, it's growing fast. It's not a small country, it's a really quite large population, 20 times, more than 20 times New Zealand, 5 times, more than 5 times Australia. But they talk about the oligarchs in the Philippines na kamusta in a country still so dominated by so many oligarchs and with someone like Marcos still in charge of the country, they still wonder kung we got what it takes as a nation in terms of our political leadership and elite to become or to do things that we're seeing in Vietnam. Kasi Vietnam, horrible yung politics nila in many ways, but they have a egalitarian society. The Communist Party in Vietnam bothers to make sure there's minimal poverty, minimal inequality as much as they can while they're growing their population. I mean, Vietnam and the Philippines, almost the same size of economy, the same economic growth, but they add 3 million middle class every year. We add only 1 million. So you can clearly see the differences in terms of inclusiveness. I want to ask you a little bit about that in terms of how can the Philippines keep on moving upwards in terms of average living standards of ordinary Filipinos? Because the oligarchs are gobbling it up, including during your time. I mean, I'm not blaming you per se, but in 2011, 2012, ayon sa World Bank, 76% of newly created growth, so around 5% out of 7%, was only going to 40 families. Diba? So, I mean, yun yung mga ganun tanong na nakuha ko dito. So, in a way, alam mo naman na these people care not only for the Philippines as a country, but for ordinary Filipinos. And they know unless you do something about the shackle of oligarchy, it's hard to move on. Ako naman, of course, my provisional answer is not all oligarchs are the same in the sense that, maybe the Ayalas and Robinsons are modernizing and moving towards a more international standard approach to business and while you know who medyo iba yung laro nila, yung iba naman sa China sila embedded, etc. But I want to add another thing, Ronald, and maybe this is also personal to both you and I. Ako, para sa akin, minsan, as much as I'm frustrated about what the oligarchs are doing to us in our country, I'm also frustrated about this culture of mediocrity and itong parochialism that we have, even with a lot of people who you expected more. I mean, let's not forget, I mean, the Harry Roques of this world did not come from rich families or hacenderos. These were people who rose through the ranks because of their intelligence, their education, and all. And the next thing you know, may konting lasa ng power, nasan pumunta. So we also have this tendency that, a lot of middle class people or professionals who move up the ranks, you would expect them to be the voice of the masses or the voice of the middle class. And as soon as they get a taste of power or their proximity to power, they act just like, and for me, that's very frustrating, Ronald. And I'll be a bit even more personal about this. I was looking at it, and almost all my peers are abroad, right? One is teaching in Berkeley, one is teaching in ANU, one is. I can go on and on about this. And these people were driven out of the country, not only because of opportunities abroad, but because of, many people were not happy having such a smart young people in certain universities or certain institutions. So there's also that kind of professional jealousy and rivalry and all of this thing. And I get away with it, Ronald, because practically half of the time I'm abroad too, right? But I have had my own taste and brush with that also unfortunate, culture of mediocrity and people that I would have expected more from. Yung pala hater pala sila. Yung pala they hate my prominence, they hate my work, they hate my passion. So as much as I talk about Rising Philippines, you're right. There's some more substantive things we have to do. We have to, I'll ask you, Ronald, di ba? After Sila Rizal, we have not created that kind of generation yet. I'm not underestimating my peers. I think I have brilliant peers. I'm sure you had also brilliant peers during that time. But there's something wrong also with our intellectual culture, right? There's something wrong about, I think, our education system in the sense that it doesn't create the kind of greatness we used to see more than 100 years ago. What is your read on that? Am I being, you should know more than me because people close to your heart also are no longer in the Philippines. They're based abroad, and I don't judge them for that. I think they're doing the right thing in terms of pursuing their future. But at the same time, medyo, of course, a part of me feels lonely. Like parang halos ako na lang natira sa mga peers ko sa Pilipinas. I'm sorry I'm being senti, but it did dawn on me the other day when I was thinking about it. So I thought I'll ask you about this and what you think about it.
Yeah, una ay without being defensive, no? 6 years is too short for a good president and too long for a bad president. Di ba? Yun yung problema natin. Halimbawa, yung binabanggit mo na 2010, 2011, kasi simula pa lang yan ng bagong gobyerno. So basically, yung statistics dyan is an indication of the previous government. Di ba? Pag sinabi mo yung statistics, mas maganda sukatin yan nung end of term nung gobyerno na yon. Halimbawa 2015 or 2016 na marami namang mga positive indicators, no? Na yung simula 2010, 2011 wala pa yan masyado. Nagsisimula pa lang diyan yung political project ng bagong presidente. So marami sa mga sitwasyon diyan, yung contradictions ng lipunan ay carry over pa nung napakahabang 9 years ni Gloria Macapagal Arroyo. Diba? Yung pa yung kanya. Halimbawa yung sinasabi mo na, sino ba nakinabang sa ating growth? Dahil may growth nung panahon ni GMA eh. Diba? May growth siya kumpara nung panahon ni ERAP. Pero, who benefited dyan sa growth na yan? Ikalawa, tama, we're growing. We're growing, di ba? But we're not growing as fast as our neighbors. Di ba? Sabi mo nga, nalampasan tayo ng Vietnam. And possibly, kung hindi hindi maging inclusive yung growth natin, ay baka malampasan pa tayo ng Cambodia in 5 years, no?
Well,
Kung hindi
hindi tayo
maayos.
nilampasan in terms of size or speed. Nilampasan tayo
No,
in
no,
terms of
no.
creating growth for ordinary people. Yeah, yeah. Yung
Yes, yes. Yes, no? Ang medyo sabi mo nga, tama yung sabi mo, ang medyo comparative sa atin yung Vietnam. Almost the same size. Pero wala yung Pilipinas. Vietnam was almost totally destroyed by the Americans in the 70s. 'Di ba? Yung Agent Orange lang eh. Yung poison na binagsak sa kanilang mga forest at saka sa kanilang mga agriculture. Pero naka-rebound sila in a decade, ah. And they became the biggest exporter of rice in the world. Imagine mo yan, ha? Sobrang wasak ang Vietnam during the Vietnam War, and yet they were able to leapfrog yung destruction na yan. At ngayon, nalampasan tayo. They're producing electric vehicles, for God's sake, di ba? Yun yung kanila ngayon eh. No? Naunahan na tayo. At yung kanilang learning poverty nila is so low kumpara sa atin.
Around 20%
Which
lang
means,
yata sa atin, 90%. Yeah.
ibig sabihin, napaka-key ng education. At alam ng mga Vietnamese yan. At kahit hindi pa talaga full-blown, may nag-emerge na bagong anti-corruption movement sa Vietnam na wala tayo. Di ba? May nag-emerge even within the Communist Party. So, ibig sabihin yung comparative advantage nila lumalaki kumpara sa atin. Kaya, yung ating growth ay hindi inclusive. Di ba? Kaya, ang nakikinabang sa ating growth because of the growth of the region are still the cartels, are still the rent-seeking taipans, di ba? Sorry, Richard. Hindi ko nakikita, wala akong nakikita na modernizing elite sa
Hmm.
Pilipinas. Kahit yung binanggit mo are not modernizing. They're also rent-seeking.
By very
No?
relative terms. I'm not here to
Yes,
defend them. I'm just,
I
yeah.
can give
Please
you
go ahead.
several instances why they are rent-seeking. No? Ayun yung pa. Kaya nga, wala tayo nung, pag sinabi kasing modernizing elite, ang iniisip ko, the modernizing elite in Europe, na nakipagpumasok sa isang social contract. Di ba? It was a social contract eh. Europe is based on social contracts. Wala tayo nun.
Which
Dahil
was
wala
a
tayong,
result of multiple revolutions from 1848,
yes.
right? Yeah.
At dahil wala tayong modernizing elite at this point. At this point. Kahit yung akala ko, akala ko modernizing elite, itong mga lintik na to. Yung pala mga rent-seeking din. No? Because they're in real estate, they're in IT, no? At kasama sila sa pumapalakpak kay Digong, no? Nung minumura ni Digong lahat at pinapapatay niya yung libo-libo. These are not rent-seeking individuals. They may look nice, they may talk nice, they will invite you to dinner and lunch, but they're not modernizing at all, no?
I mean,
Yun yung
not even like the chaebols in Korea or their counterparts in Japan.
malayo,
Yeah, Malaya.
malayo.
Not even like Vietnam kasi
The chaebols,
yeah.
no, were able to serve some directions which was set up by the government. Yung sa atin, kabaliktaran eh. They are using governance for their interests. No? At
Right.
sa ngayon, yun ang dominant.
And
At it didn't happen overnight. Patuloy yan. It's a continuity. No? Kaya, we need a new generation. Pero, at the same time, you have Abico Soto, no? An example of a good mayor. Diba? You have Arisa Hontiveros, an example of a good senator. You have Kakabag-Aw, an example of a good governor. So you have these pockets, iconic examples of what can be. No? Of course, hindi necessarily yan sustainable. Pero merong mga bright spots.
yeah, my green shoot.
Katulad na bright spot na 91, 93% ng Pilipino have rediscovered a new patriotism. It's a bright spot na 60% ng ating populasyon ay nire-recognize ang ICC as a positive element sa ating mundo at sa ating lipunan. So, may mga ganyang bright spots, but you need leadership to sustain that. You need a political project to sustain that. You need a new ethos para yan ay mas lumalim at mas kumalat, lalo na sa kabataan. At hindi yan gagawin ng isang bagong hymn. Hindi yan gagawin ng isang bagong panata sa ating watawat. It has to be something more substantial.
Sir Ron, I can see also lumalabas na naman yung pagka-progressive natin and all of that. I mean, we're nice people, but at the same time, I think we have to be clear about our core convictions. Bago natin pag-usapan yung huling tanong ko dito ukol sa mga middle class natin, paano natin siguraduhin na hindi maging Harry Roque, yung mga susunod na matatalinong abogado, matatalinong scientist, matatalinong iyo. But before that, I just want to remind people na may corruption din sa Vietnam ng big time, and you can say that, of course, there's some political purge and all, but their oligarchs are producing VinFast, right? Their oligarchs are producing manufacturing. They're teaming up with BID. Yun yung problema. It's not that these countries do not have oligarchs, but they have oligarchs that are creating high-quality jobs and moving up the ladder and putting the country on the map. So, ang question here is not why we have oligarchs, why we have the worst types of oligarchs, the most extractive types, right?
We have carpetbaggers. We have rent-seeking oligarchs. We have cartels. No? At the corruption in our country is not predictable. May corruption naman sa Malaysia. May corruption naman even in Singapore. But their corruption is predictable. Hanggang dito lang kayo. May corruption sa Korea, pero hanggang dito lang kayo. Pag lumampas kayo dyan, yari kayo. Di ba? May ganun namang kwan eh. No? May ganun klaseng minimum layers ng inefficiency. Pero hanggang dyan lang kayo dahil meron silang meritocracy. Meron silang meritocracy. No, halimbawa, yung president ng Singapore, si Tarman, no? Napakagaling na finance minister niya, napakagaling na cabinet secretary niya. Si Masagos, no? Napakagaling na cabinet secretary. Hindi sila nawawala sa gobyerno kahit sino pa yung prime minister. Bakit? Dahil meron silang wherewithal eh. Meron silang merits
Meritocracy.
eh. Diba?
Meritocracy, yeah.
Diba? Yung kanilang cabinet hindi nagpapalit eh with the new government. May continuity eh. But there must be the skill set to be a good minister. Yun yung meron sila. Sana unti-unting ma-develop yan. Sa Pilipinas kasi, ang ating icon of a good minister ay si Secretary Gadon. Yun yung ating icon
Kala ko Secretary Llamas.
of what a minister shouldn't be. Diba? Yun yung example. Kailangan mawala yan. Hindi ko nga maintindihan ano yung value added niya kay BBM eh. Ba't nire-retain pa yan dyan eh? Yung lintik na yan eh. No?
Kasi baka mumurahin siya. Sir, last point, dun sa middle class naman, paano natin sigurado na hindi sila maging Harry Roque? At alam mo na, hindi maging operator katulad natin.
Yes. Well, si Harry Roque kasi hindi naging bahagi ng progressive movement yan eh. No? He pretended to be a human rights lawyer. Pero yung kanyang pretension ay epal eh. Naghahanap siya ng mga cases na makaka-epal siya, makikilala siya. Pero counting pressure lang, bumabaliktad siya. Diba? So, halimbawa, 2016, he campaigned against Duterte. Huwag niyong iboto yan, mamamatay tao yan. In a few months, naging pro-Duterte na siya dahil inoperan siya. Ibig sabihin, yung kanyang